Let us move on to the method called as Collectors.toMap, which means that we will be collecting the data into a hash map. That is what these methods are for. We will be going through 13 different methods on how to collect data using toMap method. Let us take a look at first method called as toMap test. Now, in this method, we are taking the dataset, printing the dataset, and getting all the transactions that are done in the United States, and we are collecting it using transaction ID, where key will be transaction ID and the value will be the transaction itself. This can be replaced using function dot identity. Let us run this method and see what happens. And here is it. The input is, these are the 4 transactions, 298 US, 029 US, 298 US, and 029 US. Collectors.toMap methods take 2 arguments. One is key mapper function and second is value mapper function. So whatever the stream type would be, over here it would be transaction type. We will be given that as an input. So transaction type is an input and we are getting the transaction ID as the key, and the value would be transaction itself. So that is collectors.toMap. It returns the type interface type map. The implementation type is hash map. Let us move to a different method called as toMap duplicate key. Now, whenever we are mapping data into the map, we can get a duplicate key. And the toMap method has an interesting way of handling it. toMap method says, I'm going to throw an exception and you have to handle it on your own. And it will throw an exception called as illegal state exception. The way I have set up this test is we are getting the dataset and I'm adding the first transaction into the dataset again, which means that there will be 2 transactions with the same data. And hence this method, while converting the stream of transaction to toMap, is going to fail. And in order to resolve this failure, Collectors.toMap method tells us that we have to provide a merging function that is of type binary operator. And how we can do that is in this test method. Binary operation replace. Binary operation because binary operator is type of a merge function that goes in toMap method. So now instead of 2 parameters, you have 3 parameters. Parameter 1 is key mapper. Parameter 2 is transaction itself or a value mapper. And third parameter is merge function. Merge function over here tells us that given the 2 transactions with same keys, we have to do some merging. In merging, we are just saying that insert the first transition in the map and ignore the second one. That is the merge function over here. If you have 2 transactions with same key, that is transaction ID, so that is it. If you want to replace, you write a replacement code or you write a delete code, and delete code would look like this. 2 transaction with same transaction ID, map it to null. The reason this works like that is method called as merge method was added in map interface, where if the new value, whatever the new value you are mapping to is null, then the key is removed. Else you put the key and the new value. So we are setting our new value as null, which means that key will be removed. If you want to remove 2 different entries in map with the same key, you can just map them to null in your merge function. The third variant of toMap method is the key mapper, the value mapper, merge function, and the fourth parameter is the supplier. So over here you can provide any type of map implementation and you will get data in the map, given that it adheres to the contract provided by the toMap method. Now, if you are providing a toMap method with a supplier, you can just go ahead and remove the entry using O1, O2 null. This is just one test case where I've written on how to remove the entry using the new supplied map. Let us take a look at the second method, toUnmodifiableMap. So when you use collectors.toMap, it returns a hash map class which is mutable class. If you don't want anyone modifying your map, you can just use the class called as toUnmodifiableMap. And toUnmodifiableMap has parameters same as toMap method. What it does is it has a key mapper and a value mapper, and it returns a type map which will be of type immutable collections class. Now, again, in this toUnmodifiable map method, what if the transaction ID of two transaction is same? So we can go ahead and write the same code that we did in Collectors.toMap method, where if there are two transactions with the same key, we return one of those transactions, or we can just go ahead and delete it using returning null as part of the merge function. Last way to collect the data into map is using ImmutableMap.toImmutableMap. ImmutableMap class is of a Google Guava class, and toImmutableMap is a method that takes key mapper and a value mapper and returns a collector of type ImmutableMap. And I'm asserting that particular type over here called as ImmutableMap with the result that we got from the collector. Now again, over here in toImmutableMap, what if two transaction have the same transaction ID? So for that, what it will do is it will throw illegal argument exception. Collectors.toMap throws illegal state exception in this case, but ImmutableMap is going to throw illegal argument exception. And to deal with that, you have to provide a merge function yourself. And here is the merge function to merge two transaction into one by just replacing one transaction, or you can just delete the transaction by providing the merge function that returns null. That is all on Collectors.toMap method. I will share the link of my blog where I have written new methods of map interface as well as map.entry interface. I will also provide you the GitHub link for all these test cases. Thank you.